Good morning, PASW family and friends. Happy Friday. I'm doing another encore class. I'm re-showing a class from March of 2022, which features the great actor Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was one of the first pioneering African American artists of the early part of the 20th century. He was a great man, a great activist. I wanted to share his story again. There are Tuesday trivia questions at the end, so if you want to answer them, you can. Because it's always great to refresh your memory, right? So, and again, you can send those to me. So please enjoy this encore presentation of my class on Paul Robeson, and I will see you Monday on Zoom. Have a great weekend. Hey guys, for today's Tuesday trivia, we're going back in time. Good morning, PASW artists. Happy March. It is March 1st, and my new greeting is to greet you each morning with saying, good morning, PASW artists, because you guys are artists. We're creating art. We're learning how to create art. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this PASW artist. Now, today is our Tuesday trivia. I'm gonna tell you where I am in a few minutes. As I said, we have traveled back in time, and we are in the birthplace of the house behind me, the little white house that's behind me, is the birthplace of our Tuesday trivia artists that we're featuring today. But before we do that, let's do the moving and grooving and play some music from around the time this wonderful and legendary artist was creating his art. So let's dance to some music from who we consider the mother of blues music, Bessie Smith. Honey, baby, won't you turn near? That sweet mama whisper in your ear. I'm wild about that thing. It makes me laugh and sing. Give it to me, Papa. I'm wild about that thing. Do it easy, honey. Don't get rough. From you, Papa, I can't get enough. I'm wild about that thing. We joy it always brings. Everybody knows it. I'm wild about that thing. Please don't hold it, baby, when I cry. Give me every bit of it, else I'll die. I'm wild about that thing. Got a jing, jing, jing. All the time I'm crying. I'm wild about that thing. What's the matter, Papa? Please don't stall. Don't you know I love it and I want it all? I'm wild about that thing. Just give my bell a ring. You press my button. I'm wild about that. Wake up and bring it to a stop. Yeah, I like you ting-a-ling. All right, guys, good job. That was blues singer Bessie Smith. She recorded music in the early part of the 20th century, and I wanted to feature her today because our Tuesday Trivia artist today was definitely a pioneer actor, long before Sidney Poitier, long before Hattie McDaniel. There was an actor named Paul Robeson, who was really one of the first African-American actors to perform on Broadway, to do silent movies. He was a singer, he was an athlete, he was an author. Paul Robeson, this is his house. He was born in Princeton, New Jersey in 1898, and there's a White House behind me. This White House was his birth home. He was born, as said, in 1898, and he died in 1976. He was an athlete. He won a football scholarship to Rutgers University, which is in Brunswick, New Jersey, where he played football. He was a singer. He was an actor. He was an activist. And like I said, an author, and one of the pioneer, really one of the first Black actors to receive worldwide prominence. So we're going to look at a little clip about Paul Robeson today. I love to find clips and little things to show you about these artists. You just got through celebrating Black History Month, but I think we can celebrate artists all the time. So please take a look at this wonderful clip about Paul Robeson. I also want to say that some of the language, you'll hear the word Negro said a lot. That's because in the time of Paul Robeson, that language was acceptable. And you'll also hear about some of the struggles he had to segregation and Jim Crow laws because of the time that he was working. There was a lot more segregation between whites and African Americans. So I think it's important to understand where we come from, to understand what some artists had to go through to achieve their art, so we can appreciate where we are now. So please enjoy this, like I said, this clip I found from Paul Robeson, and then I'll see you. We'll come back with our bonus questions and our bonus round. Please enjoy this little film.
When you think of the first black superstar, you might think maybe of Denzel Washington or Will Smith, or going back a bit further, maybe Sidney Poitier. But one name kind of reigns above all of those, and that is Paul Robeson, an actor, singer, activist, trained lawyer and athlete, a guy who had it all, and about whom we know too little. I think Paul Robeson is a fascinating figure about whom people know very little. He's born in 1898 in Princeton, New Jersey, and he is the son of a freed slave. So he's kind of got that rebellious political spirit from a very early age, and it doesn't take him long to excel in a number of fields. He discovers that he's got this talent for singing and for projecting on stage, so he makes a big hit on stage at college.
First, I would say that here is a part which has dignity for the Negro actor. Often we don't get those opportunities. And I would say that my people will be very proud of my or any other Negro actor appearing in such a part.
He actually stars in 1925 in his first major feature film, which is a silent film called Body and Soul. In this, he plays this extraordinary double role, playing a corrupt, crooked, firebrand Pentecostal preacher and his mild-mannered twin brother. It might sound like a slightly ironic choice to talk about Body and Soul, because this silent era movie robs Robeson of his rich voice, but the expressiveness with which he performs and inhabits these two very different characters, and his power just careens through the screen, even though it was a silent movie. When you look at something like The Emperor Jones, the adaptation of Eugene O'Neill's play, which is, I believe, the first time that a black actor in a major American studio picture is billed above white actors, he's taking a risk on playing an ambiguous and complicated character who does, in some ways, revert to those anti-black stereotypes that we talk about, the idea of this savage brute. But he's brave enough to take that role on and bring layers to it.
Takes a silver bullet to kill Brutus Jones.
It didn't save him from being criticised in the black community and the black press for in some ways perpetuating these negative stereotypes. These are happening in segregated theatres, so this is a Jim Crow era America. So you have these independent black filmmakers like Michaud and Spencer Williams who are operating entirely independently of the Hollywood system, and they're making films about black subjects for black audiences. I mean, these films were quite widely seen, so his talent was recognised and he wasn't afraid to put himself forward. Arguably, Robeson's most famous role in Hollywood is in Showboat, where he sings the standard Old Man River, which has become immortalized since. And his version of that is the most famous version of it, I think.
Old Man River, that old man River, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling, he keeps on rolling.
In films like Body and Soul and The Emperor Jones, you do see Robeson taking on these more complex and complicated roles before settling into perhaps some more slightly kind of sanctified, saintly roles. But as James Baldwin wrote, a lot of these black actors have had scripts where the complexity is not in the script. So they've had to smuggle complexity into the scripts that simply aren't there. And we have to look into the actors' eyes and study their performances to see what they're bringing to us and their lived experiences as black people. Well, as a scholar and an intellect at college, he's always interested in political issues and social justice. He effectively exiles himself because he's smart enough to realize that the roles are simply not there for him. The early stereotypes that have been calcified in American cinema, from D.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation onwards, this kind of hugely influential and technically incredible but extremely racist film which seems to have informed all of black representation in American cinema since. Paul Robeson sees that and he realizes that the roles that he wants to play, dignified, complicated, multifaceted characters, those roles are not going to be available to him. So he takes a chance and he goes to Europe. And when he comes to Britain and he stars in films like Song of Freedom and The Proud Valley in Wales, where he strikes up a communion with Welsh coal miners, and he becomes increasingly involved and interested in labour struggles. And that kind of never left him. And when he went back to America, he saw what was happening again in Jim Crow America. This is before the civil rights movement really kicked into gear in the 50s and 60s, and he's seeing injustice all around him.
Here's a question of whether one who wants to sing and act can have, as a citizen, political opinion. And in attacking me, they suggested that when I was abroad, I spoke out against injustices to the Negro people in the United States. I certainly did.
Because of his deep-seated commitment to his ideals throughout his career, Paul Robeson found himself a hotly disputed figure and also ostracized. And that places him in a line of many high-profile black athletes and public figures, actors, performers who have spoken out and have found themselves being frozen out. We look at Tommy Smith and John Carlos at the '68 Olympics with their famous Black Power salute, and even up to today with somebody like Colin Kaepernick, who's made a very bold statement and for doing so has found himself frozen out, very much like Robeson was as well. So perhaps when we look at Robeson, we're not looking at someone from the past, but a central figure on a continuum of American race relations. As with so many politically outspoken and controversial figures, there is a note of tragedy to Robeson's final years. His passport had been revoked by the time it was given back to him and he was allowed to travel again. His health was on the wane, so he did go back to Europe, but his career was never able to reach the heights that it should have done. And he died in the late 70s, almost in obscurity, which is a real tragedy for a figure with such colossal talent.
But old man River, he just keeps rolling along.
The film. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Because 10 or 11 minutes cannot even touch the surface of what an amazing, invigorating, wonderful artist he was. But again, he was a football player. He is really known for the show Showboat, as they said, which was a play and a movie, and singing Open River. So that is what, you know, that voice, what an incredible voice he had, both as a singer and as an actor, and what an incredible artist. And I just really wanted to honor him today. So let's go to our bonus round. Bonus question number 1. What sport does Paul Robeson play? Bonus question number 1. What sport did Paul Robeson play? I said it, it was mentioned in the video. What sport did Paul Robeson play? Bonus question number 2. Name a project, either movie or play, that Paul Robeson was in. He didn't do television because there was no television at the time. So, name a project, a theater or film project that Paul Robeson was in. That is bonus question number 2. Bonus question number 1. What sport did Paul Robeson play? Bonus question number 2. Name a film or theater project that Paul Robeson was in. And of course, you can leave me your answers on the voicemail. That's 323-42478, or you can email me at dejclass@gmail.com. And again, guys, if you don't remember, you can always ask Siri or Alexa, or take your cell phone and say, Siri, what sport did Paul Robeson play? Siri or Alexa, or whoever you have, what is a film or theater project that Paul Robeson was in? So you can also ask yourself, those of you who have smartphones. And again, the reason I do this is, guys, I want you to also learning about the characters we play by doing a little research. You know, the Paul Robeson, you know, he came around in the early part of the 20th century. So I dressed my dress today is from the early part of the 20th century. And I like to do that because we wear costumes, and finding out more about our characters is something I enjoy. And thinking of that, we're gonna end at the very beginning with another musician who was creating art during the early part of the 20th century. We're gonna end at the very beginning with a little music from Scott Joplin. And I'll see you tomorrow for Motivational Wednesday. Bye bye, guys.